Creativity to me means to use your life experiences, your time, your experience to bring a customer's project to life the way that they envision it. A lot of these people have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't really know how to get there. Whether it be your experience on other projects, whether it be experience with other clients. I guess creativity for our side of things involves the client and coming up with a game plan and bringing to life what they wish to happen, for instance, with a conversion on an armoire or something like that, into a bar. They know what they want, but they're not quite sure what it's going to look like exactly. We're not going by plans. So we're using our ideas and our experiences and creativity to bring that project to life. I guess I was a kid all the time. I was always taking things apart and trying to figure them out. I can guarantee my parents would assume that during that time I didn't always figure out a way to put them back together, but I got them back together. My education was always very general, even through college. My mother was in this type of business when she was in the early years, when I was a younger kid, doing refinishing and not so much repairs, but doing the finishing portion of it. Getting out of college, looking for guidance here and there, I ended up doing some odd jobs in carpentry, and then it started to work its way into working with her and doing finishing work and woodworking, and then I took jobs with antique dealers that had wood shops in the back to learn even more, and then it developed into taking some courses on my own, and a lot of it is just trial and error and figuring things out as you go along. Well, the first thing we do with the customer is look the piece over, evaluate what problems we see, what issues we see, what needs to be improved, and then work with the customer to discuss if in fact that bothers them. For instance, the finish might not be perfect. They might be okay with that. If they want it to look like it did when it came out of the Craftsman shop, or whether it came out of the antique dealers that way, we can evaluate finishes. We can also find issues that might be a problem later as far as repairs are concerned. Loose legs, loose hardware, loose drawers, broken things, worn areas. So it's generally a look it all over evaluation and then discuss with the client based on cost and what they want to do and how they want the final product to look. For the piece in question that you brought in, the first step we took was to take off what finish was left on there, the old finish that was no longer good, remove that by hand. Once that was done and had dried, the next step was to take care of the repairs, and in this case was re-veneering the top, replacing pieces of veneer that were missing, filling small voids that would then be colored later. There were portions of the feet that were missing, so we had to add blocks of wood and recarve those back into shape. There were some ornamental wood that was missing, carvings, things like that, that we then took forms of and made and hand carved those a little bit to replace those. And then the next step from there is to then bring all the colors together, adding stain where needed, and then from there the next step will be finishing by hand, in this case finishing by hand, and bringing it back to where it was in its former glory. Well, the one thing you do see a lot of is younger people aren't looking to work with their hands these days. The gentleman in question with Mike, who's our shop foreman, and Will, who's the other gentleman here, and even our finisher, who is here as well, they all brought a little bit of knowledge and skill when they came here. Usually in our best bet is usually someone with not a full amount of experience, because everyone in this profession has their own little tweak on how they do things. Mike, for instance, had more experience in kitchen cabinetry, assembling. He had some finishing experience. His learning was more in the details, hand carving, which we do a lot more here than just running moldings and things like that. So he's more on the repair side. Will is relatively new to this. He has a limited amount of experience in touch-up work. He is learning quickly and learning things such as general repairs, joinery repairs, and also a little bit of finishing. Our Joe, who is the finisher, his skill was creative and faux painting and finish work. When he came to us, he didn't have a whole lot of experience with hand finishes and things like that, but he learned fairly quickly on that. As far as the future of how this goes, it's an old world craft, even though there are modern twists to it. Finishes have been improved over the years. We're still using finishes that were used hundreds of years ago, and we're doing the same process. So satisfaction on a personal level, from piece to piece, depends on the piece. We get pieces in here that we know have great potential. Usually the nice, really old, you can see the hand craftsmanship from hundreds of years ago. So the satisfaction of bringing that back is satisfying. There's a lot of stuff in here that comes in that's just straightforward, take the finish off, put the finish back on. It is what it is. You don't get a whole lot out of that. But you also get the satisfaction of the reactions of customers. The best advice I could give to somebody who wants to either get into this business or similar business would be open-mindedness. You need to be willing to learn from someone and understand that you don't know everything, and that the person, older or not, has something to give to you as well as you can give to them. I learn from these guys here and customers all the time, something new, and be open to learn new techniques, maybe even change the way you used to do it because it's better, patience, and understand that this is an old craft that you're learning, and that there's people out there that have been doing it for a lot longer than you have, and to not assume that all the new ways of doing things, whether it be finishes or other things, might not always be the right way. There's still hand tools out there that have been made a long time ago, and they still get used in this shop all the time. Finishes the same way. We're still using old world shellacs and waxes just like they did before, the turn of the century. So I guess the simple thing would be keep an open mind, willing to learn, and be patient.